What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redbeard's Garage, and today we're finally getting a much needed tool that we've needed in the shop. I've been using that belt sander, which was borrowed from a friend. Thank you, Dave. Since we did the SEMA build, and I found out how much a belt sander is needed. But I wanted a knife making belt sander because you can notch tube, you can do so much more with a knife making belt sander. So when I looked around, I found Diktator and contacted them. They are made in America, super high quality. I mean, you can tell by the array of parts they send you, the bearings, the craftsmanship is just crazy. And we are super pumped to have them in the shop. So we're gonna go through putting this thing together and we're gonna try it out for the first time. Do I know what I'm doing? Absolutely not. This is the first belt sander I've ever put together because, again, I used something like that in the past. So we are going to be giving one of these away on Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. That is Redbeard's Garage. And there will be links in the video description and links to their website where you can look at all their products. They have a ton of stuff, different configurations you can do. You can buy all the way from super cheap and put your own motor on it, or you can get the full all-out kit like this. But like I said, we will be giving one away. So make sure to follow us. Giving back to you guys. This thing is super high quality. So this bracket wasn't level from factory, like they had it kind of kicked up. If you just loosen these, there are some adjustment to get this flat so you can fit your 3/8 bolts down in these holes. This is powder coated, so there may be a little thickness of powder coat. So we have 2 bolts here. We're using a washer on each side, and then it comes with lock nuts and everything. So we're gonna use 9/16 wrench and socket, tighten all 4 of these down, then we can move on to installing our motor bracket. Now we can tighten these up with a 7/16. These are the ones we loosened to adjust that opposite bracket. Like I said, we're going to be using these 4 1/4-inch bolts, so we need to pull the nuts off. They are carriage bolts, so we don't need to worry about a wrench on the other side. Also be taking off the washers. You can see this bracket has a bend to it, a little angle. Once you put it on, it'll allow this to be flush with this opposite side. So just make sure to put it on the correct way. I'm just going to snug these up so it's movable. I'm going to leave these loose for now. Now we can grab our motor, bring it over, set it on, and see we have to slide this up. So good thing we left it loose, but not loose enough. It has that centering ring, so once you get it lined up, it'll sit in there. You have these 4 button head Allens. I'm just going to go in here and thread these in. So you can see we've ran our carriage bolts. The kit's going to come with 4 5/16 carriage bolts. We're going to run them from the bottom, put a washer, lock washer, and a nut. There's going to be 2 on both sides of the motor. But what I have done, once I got all these bolts started, I tightened these first, which is going to draw our motor to where it needs to be. Then I tightened the feet under the motor to the plate, and now I'm tightening these 4 carriage bolts here, which tighten the plate to the motor plate to the whole fixture. Now we're going to be pulling this protective sleeve off. We have this aluminum pulley. You're going to notice one side is faced off and flat, the other one's recessed. The flat side is going to go in. Let's line up the keyway. It's going to be a snuggy fit. Now I'm not going to knock it all the way on just yet. We need to make sure we get everything aligned with a straight edge. So what we're going to do is throw a straight edge on this and go to the wheel up here. We're going to leave just the smallest air gap in between this, but it needs to be faced off on both sides of this pulley. This is very finely machined by the boys in China from Harbor Freight. So we're going to need to move this wheel out just a little bit. We have just the thinnest air gap, if you can see. That to me seems like what the instructions says. they want to see. So we can take our 1/8 inch Allen, and he has machined a hole right there to fit it through, and we're going to give it a good snug, and that's going to keep that key from walking out from the end of this here. Look at that, made in America, single phase. So if it's anything like old made in America stuff, it lasts forever. We're going to install our tool rest, which is this plate here. You can get different sizes of these, you know, different setups, and I'm assuming you can mount it under or above. I don't think it would matter. Thank you, lovely assistant. Okay, we can tighten that up in a minute once we set our depth, because of course we can slide this in and out. So I'm going to add a second bolt here. I don't know if this is recommended. I just feel like I want it.
Your OCD.
Yeah, it drives me crazy not having. And I'm going to go ahead and replace the nuts that came with this with nylon lock nuts. So I would assume I'm going to not move this much, but hey, your boy could be wrong. I have no clue. Again, first time using one of these puppies. I'll slide it down there, around the back. I can snip this and slowly let it up. And these pulleys, I don't know if you noticed, these are flat. The top and bottom are flat here, but these are dome shaped. So the belt is going to naturally want to ride to the center of this instead of wanting to kick off to the side, because the high point is in the middle. Just tighten that up really good. I would imagine that's how it's supposed to be.
Let's sand something.
All right, so they do send you a pedal with a big stop button and then a small start button. So if something happens, you can punch that stop button. This will plug in to the motor here. There we go. Then we can run this for now to a drop cord. But everything, and we're using 3 of these Sigmund clamps that came with this table. They'll hold a ton of power down. Everything good. So after running it for a few minutes, we noticed that if you just adjust this, because I was trying to make it run, it's a, you know, dumb moment, but we basically adjusted this thumb screw and it aligned the belt. So this is how you're, of course, aligning your belt on everything. And then I did loosen up these 1/4 inch bolts and slide this in a little bit. It probably needs a hair bit more. I like mine to run right behind this belt. I don't want it resting, the belt necessarily resting on it all the time. And that could be the improper way. I don't know. Tell me in the comment section below. But he also sent me another tool holder. So basically when we want a notch tube, we can just loosen this up here, slide the belt off, and then loosen the thumb screw and slide this whole fixture out. Slide this one in, and then we pick what size tube we're notching. And you know,
that's
we have
cool.
Yeah, and we can notch tube on this, and that is massive because we have a tubing notcher, but a straight notch, I guarantee this would do it almost as fast as my tubing notcher. But the beauty about this is sometimes I have to do a real crazy notch that my notcher can't do. I think my notcher will do 60 degrees. Yes, it'll do 60 degrees on this notcher. Sometimes you need a really weird notch. You need another tube coming into it. That is going to come in handy probably more than this ever will, because I love notching tube on a bench. Okay, I don't love it. On a bench grinder, it takes forever. And that wheel platform being a flat profile never notches tube. So this is going to change the game. You need to wear a respirator. I'm just testing. Don't yell at me, please. First time we've ever used it. Keep your hands away from the big green belt. Like butter. Can you see how smooth that is? Now this gets hot really quick. So I like to keep a bucket of water if I'm doing right under it to catch these. So it'll catch your birds, and then you can dip your part in it to quench it so you don't burn your hand off. Let me grab that. That water's a couple weeks old. A little murky. Man, that is so nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece, show you the finish on it before and after. So we have this rectangle tube, has a very sharp edge on it. Let's dull that edge down. You can see everything about it. First we're going to 45 degree clean it up. It did look like that. See the blade mark. Now we're going to take that edge down. You see, in no time that thing is just eating. Woo! You boys in love. So that's extremely handy. I can't tell you how fast that's going to allow us to fabricate stuff. That is amazing. We've been using that Hitachi, I think that is. This thing is super old. It still works great. It's a great belt sander, but this will do nothing compared to what this Diktator will do. And this is the mini Diktator. They have a lot of different series. Make sure to check out the links in the video's description. They do help us continue to make these videos, show you the tools that we like to use. I've been dying for one of these forever. I've heard from a lot of fabricators that once you have one of these, you can't live without them, and I can see that. And the Diktator being all American made, super pumped to have this in the shop. It is really exciting. Looks good on the weld table too. So we've been using this mini Diktator for a couple weeks in the shop. I wanted to put it through its paces instead of telling you guys, oh, this thing's the greatest tool we've ever had, without actually using it. So we've had it now for about 2 weeks, and I'm telling you, I do not want to live without this tool. This thing is amazing. We had to do a 1-inch notch to put a weird piece of tube in a weird place on the chassis. This thing did it in seconds, where before I would have to notch it on my notcher, then throw it on the bench grinder, and you never got that true clean fit, where this you can. I'm telling you guys, this is, if you're in the market for one of these, definitely check out mini Diktators. They're insane, and like I said, we're going to be giving away one on Instagram. I went through a couple different grits of belt. We got some belt butter and put on there. That's why it's got a black color to the belt. That's not a worn out belt. That's actually the belt butter, and it actually helps out a ton, keeping heat down on your part and keeping from wearing the belt out. So I'm going to show you guys how quick it is to swap over to the tubing notching tool post that they had sent us, and we'll notch a piece of tube real quick on it. So all we're going to do is push down on this spring loaded bracket, slide the belt off. Just lay it aside. You have a thumb screw on the back side, loosen it, and pull out this tool post. So this is his tubing notching tool post, and he sells different sizes of these bearing tools. So we're going to set this in there, and this is for 1 1/4 tubing, which we're building a chassis right now with 1 1/4 tubing. So whatever size tubing we're using, we normally use 1 inch, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. But we got 1/2 inch all the way up to 1 1/2. So these are super handy to have a bunch of different ones. Super simple to put in. We just slide the tool post in place. Then we can set our bearing. You're going to want to hold this so it don't fall out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap my belt around. Then once the belt's wrapped, we can pull it forward, get our belt centered a little bit, push down on the actuator, and basically tighten down the thumb screw. Once we let go, it tightens it right up, and we're ready to notch tube on the end of this. So let's grab a piece of scrap tube. We'll notch it and show you how fast you can notch a piece of tube with this and then fit it on a chassis. So we have a scrap piece of 1 1/4. We're going to turn it on and make sure we get the belt adjusted up here so it's running centered on this bearing. So we got that piece notched, and you can see fits perfect on the tubing. I mean, super pumped to have this thing. Like, I wouldn't do this normally. I wouldn't use the belt sander for a notch in this degree. This is about a 10 degrees notch I just put on this. But if I was running a piece of tube into this corner here, where it's like a triangulated notch, you know, where it's like compound notch with a high angle, that's where I would use this belt sander, because we can, I mean, do like crazy notches, and we roll some tube every once in a while, or we have a notch or a bend. If we, let's say this tube was this long before the bend starts, I cannot put that in my notcher. So that's where this belt sander is going to come in. We don't have to do it on a bench grinder and waste a bunch of time anymore. Super pumped about this thing. Guys, I am super pumped to have this in the shop. And like I said, normally I keep the tool post with the double bearings in it to do just like notches or straight pieces. And then we throw this on when we need to do like a weird notch. But super in love with this. We're going to get some tables, steel tables put over there to get it mounted up nicely. But for now, we just got it clamped on the table. And I've been using it, like I said, for about 2 weeks after we filmed the first part of the video. And I do not want to go without this thing. It's going to speed up. And we're going to show you guys throughout the builds how we use this. So make sure to go to our Instagram, get entered to win this thing when the post comes live. And we would love if one of you guys won this thing, because it is amazing. Super pumped, all made in America. Great product. So guys, again, make sure to follow us on Instagram as well as Diktator. We'll have links to all that stuff in the video description. And like I said, we're going to be running the giveaway for a few weeks. And hopefully one of you guys that could use this will win it, because it is an awesome piece of equipment to have in the shop. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel, where you'll see this thing in action, building chassis. So we thank you guys so much. And thank you, Diktator, for sending out this belt sander. It is one of my favorite pieces of tools in this shop. So thank you guys for watching. We love you, and God bless.